Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edhi vedasyama ani sthaha shrutam me ma prahasihi anenadhi tena horatran samdadhami Ritam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmam avatu, tadvaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So today we take Somahuti Bhargava. Next hymn, it's a
Vladimir,
typical...
I just
Oh, Kinshuk with us. Nice. We were already saying that you shall not come and we will miss you already. We missed you already.
Yes, made it somehow.
Oh, nice, nice. We are very glad. And thank you for this passage, beautiful passage. I was writing to you my impressions on it because Sri Aurobindo is actually creating in us, in our consciousness, in our mind, the framework which will give us answers, you know. He does not give answers. He creates the structure which will allow us to find the right answers. So I had so many thoughts, beautiful thoughts on this, on how mind is to be illumined by intuition as a bridge between the superconscious
Right.
and how it has also subconscious and that bridge will work only as, you know, it bridges the realm where the knowledge is holding within the power to the realm where the power holds within the knowledge. And so in between this beautiful bridge, mind, but it has to be illumined, ignited by intuition, and then it will work. Very beautiful passage. Thank you for sharing this.
Vladimir,
Yes.
what is, I just had a very short question on, in the
Sure.
last verse 9, there is a word Gritsamadas. What does that mean?
Kritsamada. Kritsamada is this clan of the Rishi. It is Gritsamada Rishi, who is the whole second mandala is of Gritsamada.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it is his name, Bhargava. He belongs to Bhrigu family. And now from his family, from Bhargavas, there is Somahuti. With this Somahuti, we have several hymns. Yes, it's number 3, I think, already of his. So today it is Anushtup. Hota janishta chetana pita pitribhya utaye prayakshan jeniam vasu shakema vajino yamam. Ayasmin saptarashmayach tata yajnasya netari manushvat daivyam ashtamam pota vishvam tad invati. Hota janishta chetana. A conscious priest of the call is born to us. Pita pitribhyah utaye. A father is born to his fathers for their safeguard. Utaye. May we avail to achieve by sacrifice the wealth that is for the victor, prayakshan jnaniyam vasu, and to rein the horse of swiftness, shakema vajino yamam. Uh, Actually, I'm reading with the Anushtup iambic meter, but the stress, the accent is different. Shakema vagino yamam, vagino yamam, shakema vagino yamam. And this is kind of interesting. Stress is totally different accent in the words. So Hota, as we know, he is the summoner. A summoner of the gods was born conscious. Ajanishta was born Chetana, conscious. Father for the fathers. Pita Pitribhyach was born to fill them with his presence, Utaye. Now I translate Uti as Shubindra translates the same root av. Av and U weak form and Uti are from the same root. Yes. So Av means to protect. That's why he puts here safeguard. To protect, but to protect by filling from within, by fulfilling them, yes, by occupying their inner spaces. So the Father for the fathers, for filling them with his presence. So there are many fathers in this manifestation, and they all represent the Father, yes. And the Father has to fill or to fulfill them with his presence, and thus to protect them, to safeguard them, because they will have to fulfill the purpose of the Father. So these fathers or ancestors of ours, Pitris, are representing the Father, the universal Father. Yeah? They play the role of the Father here for us. And we are the children, so to say, of theirs. They're constantly guarding us, constantly taking care of us, as Sri Aurobindo says somewhere, that Angiras Rishis are always and still there and always, trying to assist the soul of man in his journey. Yeah? So this is the Pita Pitribhyah Udaye, Prayakshan Janiyam Vasu. Interestingly, Shubhendra translates here Vaso as wealth, yes? To achieve the wealth, Prayakshan Vasu, that is for the victor, victorious Janiyam. Janiyam also can be translated differently. From Jan or from G. So both are accepted by Indian tradition. I think I even wrote here this. No, I didn't use this Janium. It is a typical Vedic word. We meet it everywhere. Maybe I should look into it. Prayakshan Janium. Prayaksh, yaksh. Yakshayate yaksha is to be quick, to speed on. And most probably also from here, yakshas, these specific beings, who are like rakshasas, yakshasas. There are many of them who are jumping on you. Yakshas is a spirit which is unknown, which is hiding, which is veiled, which is unclear to our sight. We do not really perceive it. It is used also in the Kena Upanishad, yes? Kimetad yakshamiti. What is this yakshas? And this root yaksh, interestingly, because it is most probably subjunctive, or 100% on my view, is subjunctive from root yaj, to sacrifice. So the one who could sacrifice forward, who should transform Vasu of the victor. Victorious wealth should transform in time forward. Or literally, as Sri Aurobindo says, um, I translate pressing forward the victorious wealth. Pressing forward means actually this, making available, to avail, maybe avail, Sri Aurobindo translates. With Shakema, yes, together, maybe. But prayakshan, literally, the one who presses forward, or the one who makes changes in the future, who, how to say, extends his action of transformation into the future. Pra is forward, yes. Yakshan should sacrifice forward. The one who should sacrifice forward the victorious wealth, or the victorious luminous presence in the substance, and that is Vasu. Shakema Vaji no Yamam. Today I was thinking about this phrase. May we be able, Shakema. Yeah? May we have Shakti. It's optative from Shak. Vajinach Yamam. And the Yamam, the control, the holding onto Vajin. And Vajin is the one who possesses plenitude, or the horse, the racing horse, the war horse, the horse which is conquering the Vaja. Vaja is also the praise, prize, which is the prize of the conquest. Yeah? So, and it is plenitude. Plenitude is the substance is transformed and charged with consciousness. So Vajinach is the war horse who conquers the wealth of plenitude. So may we be able to hold on to or to control Yamam. And I was thinking about Yama here, because Yama is exactly this. It is the one who holds the track, who holds the control over the situation in time and space. Yeah? This very control, Yama Niyama. Yeah? There are powers which are holding, yoking, controlling, yes, binding with on the track of time and space. So I was thinking about Yama today, that Yama is exactly that. He is holding onto the soul, or holding soul to the track which the soul has to go through, that it will not be lost in the infinity, that it will find its way to its origin. Yes, that's what Yama does. And Yama is the Dharma Raja, as we know, the king of Dharma, because he assigns everyone his or her own track of proper way of being, yeah, and behaving, their own natural way of living. And so in that sense, Yamam here, Vajano Yamam, the control, or so it's more than control, it's a constant holding on to. Yeah, Sri Aurobindo puts to rein the horse of swiftness, basically to have that rein, yeah, over the horse, to control the horse, to hold the track of the horse, or hold to the track. So I put here restraining, holding onto the divine power that brings us to the plenitude. I put all these elements together which I try to explain now. May we be able of restraining, holding on to the divine power that brings us the plenitude may be better, yes? Two is better. Right.
Vladimir, this is so similar to Varuna who holds the gods to their promises. And I think somewhere Sri Aurobindo says this also, that Yama is a later derivative of Varuna.
Yeah, possibly.
And
Yes. Varuna from, interestingly, because we translate Varuna as the covering sky, but it is also Vri, which is choosing actually, Vranoti, Vranute, from root Vri, to choose a particular, yes, he is dharmic deity, absolutely, in the Veda. And Yama is later Dharmaraja, yeah? But not in the Veda. Yama is not Dharmaraja in the Veda, only Varuna. So that Dharma was kind of passed to him, so to say. Interestingly, because Varuna is the divine being, yeah, the purity of the divine being, that our Sat, our soul, our self. Whereas Yama is the first man who died and found the way back to the origin. That means representing most probably ourself. Yeah? It's this the self of humanity. What the same as Satyavan. Satyavan is the soul of humanity from Sat, yes, from the one who is, because the being is the self and being is the soul. Though we have always this interesting kind of discussion here about the self and the soul, because the self is the being and the soul is the consciousness of that being. So if we put them together, we will have a fullness, self and soul, being and consciousness. This is the original self, conscious being. And once it is conscious, it emanates Ananda. Ananda is the result of this conscious or awareness of the being. But the being must be there, the self. And in that sense, I'm trying to make a kind of connection between Varuna and Yama. Yeah? Yama is the self. And later, interestingly, this is amazing, because Yama later becomes exactly the Lord of Death, so to say, in the post-Vedic literature, because he is that very self. And if you read what Sri Aurobindo speaks about the Lord of Death, it is the self. It is that life which became death, that life, not life in terms of vital being, but that's transcendental life, which is Sat, being. Being became non-being. And that is the definition of the Lord of Death, that he has the power. You remember how he called one by one to all the powers. First he called to the night, but she refused his call. Then he called to hell, but sullenly it retired. He called to the falsehood from which he was born, his vast sustaining self. Interesting, falsehood. But something, it refused its call. Now I remember. It refused its call, and then he called to its own strength. So strength was, we can find most probably direct quotations. I'm doing it from memory, but that strength is the very core of the Lord of Death, because by strength, as he says, this world is made, by power, not by knowledge. So you cannot come to me with knowledge and have no power. Show me the power. Show me the money. If you don't have money, so what's the point of talking? Yeah, nice things. The ideas, they are lofty. They have no grip over the nature. So this world is made by force. And force is the element or the major qualification of the self. Because the force, it's something substantial. It's the being. And force is the manifestation of the self. And consciousness is the quality or the awareness of the self. This is something very interesting to discuss every time when we come to these basics. Satchit Tapas Ananda. If we think about what is force, what is power, power represents the being. Of conscious being. Conscious being has power, and that power is substantial substance of the being, substantiality of the being. Otherwise, power would not be there. That's why we have, the higher we rise, the more power we have, the more consciousness we have, the lower we come, the more power we have, but less consciousness. And this is what you send the passage today. Exactly this. Yeah? The power is below, the substantiality of the being is below, but consciousness is lost gradually. And when consciousness is gained higher, then the power is included into the consciousness. Not other way around. Below it is power which is including consciousness, veiling it. Above there is consciousness which is holding power within. It's quite an amazing vision of the Veda and integral yoga. So in that sense, yama is a control, from yam to control. But what is control, really? If you think of it, it is this holding to the substance. It is holding to the track of the self in time and space. In all the possible changes, you're holding to the yourself, and that is yama. All right, we go to the next one. Yasmin saptarashmayach tata yajnasya netari manushva daivyamashtamam pota vishvam tad invati. The seven rays are extended in this leader of sacrifice. There is a divine eighth that carries with it the human. Interesting. The priest of the purification takes possession of that all. My interpretation, in whom the seven rays are spread, who is the leader of the sacrifice, as Manu holds it, the eighth divine ray, as a purifier, he makes all that move. Maybe as is bad, maybe not as Manu holds, like Manu holds better. Like purifier, he makes all that move. In whom, Yasmin, the seven rays, Saptarashmayach, yeah? In the leader of the sacrifice, Yajnasya Netari. Netri is the leader of the sacrifice. There is a divine eighth, Daivyam Ashtamam, that carries with it the human, manushvat, literally the like mano or having mano. Manu can be left as Manu as the matrix of all human beings, as the mental matrix which makes us human, man. Man, mental, mind, the same etymologies, and Manu. Manu is the one who has freedom of mental will. So, and the eighth one, divine, who is like the Manu, or who of the quality of the mental being, or a human being, who carries with it the human. The priest of purification, Pota, takes possession of all, of that all. Tad invati. Or in my translation, like a purifier, he makes all that, maybe that should be with capital T, move.
Vladimir,
Yes.
what do the 7 rays refer to?
Usually these are 7 rays, 7 flames, 7 tongues of Brihaspati, or 7 rays of consciousness, 7 streams, 7 rivers. It's a constant sacred number in the Veda, yes. 7 rays of consciousness
Are they qualities of consciousness?
is Satchit, Ananda, Vijnana, Manas, Prana, and Annam. Yeah? So usually in the post-Vedic literature, we will translate these 7 in this way, covering the whole range of the... But in the Veda, I would say it is not the same. In the Veda, it is interestingly would be Sat, Chit, Tapas, Ananda, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. Or Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya, triple supermind. So it's transcendental 4 and triple supermind constitute 7 rays, which, when projected into the lower hemisphere, generate triple overmind, yeah, supramental overmind, and intuition, and 4 levels below. Yes, so we would have mind, a vital, double vital usually, because there is a power in it, and the knowledge. Vital life has both power and knowledge, and matter. So basically this reflection of the 7 worlds transcendental into this lower hemisphere, 7 worlds, you know, is the same 7 rays. It depends how you want to look at them, at the higher 7 or the lower 7. Does it make sense to you? This is something basics which we learned from the introduction to the Veda, yes? About these 7 higher and 7 lower realms. Actually, only with Sri Aurobindo we discovered this. We never knew that there was some triple overmind, yeah? Trirochana, they call it in the Veda. 3 luminous realms above the mind, above the heavens. There are 3 heavens, triple mind, and there are 3 luminous realms above the 3 heavens. So this triplicity, yes, is constantly there. So this triple supermind, and then we have triple mind, triple vital, and triple physical. This triplicity is being projected into every one of them.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, but I always think about 7 rays as those transcendental rays when I meet in them in the Veda. as Varuna Mitra Aryaman Bhagat Daksham Shan Surya, or Satchit Tapasananda and Triple Supermind. Always, somehow. And I believe it is that. From what I read and what I understand. It is not Satchit Ananda Vijnana Manas Pranayanandam, as it is known later in Puranas. If you have some thoughts, you are always welcome to share your thoughts on this, because we can only think about it. It's the structure which is helping us to yes Nidhi.
So like we grew up listening to the stories of Sapt Rishis also. It's very common in India. So it like I don't know if we can correlate or not, but like the different rishis. So and then we relate it to the 7 different stars. Those are in the sky.
Amen.
We used to see those stars related to 7 Saptarishis.
This great constellation, which is
Yes.
Riksha, or the deeper, yes, which points to the polar star, to the Dhruvam, because the
North Star,
7
yes.
rishis. It is even mentioned, yes, in the Upanishads, in the Chandogya, it is said to go beyond the 7 rishis, to go beyond the riksha. Yes, a riksha, interesting also etymologically. We most probably we spoke about this. Riksha means bear, bear constellation, big bear constellation. And it is Riksa, the one who bears or carries Rig Veda, the word, the divine word, the rhythmic divine creative word. That's how rishis are rishis. Yeah, they represent Riksha. They represent those who manifest the word. And the word is, what is the word? Is the action of consciousness. Yes. It is that which manifests everything. The word creates. These are the 7 sons of Brahman, of the Prajapati or Brahmanaspati, who creates the worlds. And interestingly, in the already in Brahmanas and Aranyakas, he, the creator, turns into each side, each direction, and he pronounces the mantra, and the space comes into being. And his 7 sons, rishis, they do this work for him, manifesting all the varieties of the self in time and space through the word. So this riksha, interesting, riksha, the same etymology in Greek, arctus. Arctus is the bear. And Arctica from here. Arctica is that which is pointing to the northern star, that wide bear, yes, that big bear constellation, which is in the north. That's why north is the most sacred in Indian tradition. The north is the most sacred in Indian tradition. Who would have thought? Yeah? When you do yogic exercises, you have to turn towards the north and sit down towards the north when you do pranayama or japa or whatever. Or to the east, either to the east. East is second choice. The first choice is north. And it's interesting because Dhruvam is the polar star around which the whole, our galaxy is turning around. It is something which is holding like a point, the whole manifestation of this universe. Yeah? Here there are 2 terms of the priests. I used Netri and Potri. Neta and Pota. Interesting, both of them are later the priests of the sacrificial Soma yagas. Yeah, it's all connected with Soma sacrifices. And Bhargavas are those first rishis who brought these Soma sacrifices into action. So Pota is the one who purifies the juice. Yeah? He gets all that. Yeah? He takes possession of all that, or he makes all that move, makes it alive, or makes it, applies it to this manifestation, manifests all that, the purifier. Natri is the leader. Later there will be Neshtar, also from the same root, Ni, the one who leads. Usually he brings Soma. Neshtar is the priest who buys and brings Soma to the sacrifice, buys somewhere. Buying is later of origin, but he collects and brings the Soma to the sacrifice, and Pota purifies the Soma for the oblation. It's quite amazing that they are mentioned here, two of them, as Agni, because Agni is Netri and Agni is Potri. It's by Agni that the Soma is purified and Soma is brought into oblation. It is in whom the 7 rays are spread, who is in whom the leader of the sacrifice. He is the leader of the sacrifice, and it is in him the 7 rays are spread. And also, like Mano, I put Vad because like, he is also there is a divine 8 that carries with it the human. So Sri Aurobindo does not want to directly connect it to the so to say, in the word to Agni, but it is about Agni, the divine 8, or the divine 8th, which is a mental being, which is man, which is the product of this sacrifice. And if he, that the divine 8th, the human being, is purifying the Soma here for the oblation, he gets it all. He gets all that. That is usually the transcendental Satchitananda. But especially when Sri Aurobindo puts all that, look, capital T, he means usually even maybe more. He means all, as you sent a beautiful passage today, how beautifully it is corresponding. He speaks about subconscious all and superconscious all, and he says that superconscious and subconscious are 2 different formulations of the same all. Capital all. So look how beautifully it fits here, that all. But that always points beyond, that far. So it is the same all eventually. Seven rays means fullness of manifestation, all the forms to be manifested, yes, including all from the top to the bottom.
Vladimir,
Yes.
in one of the earlier sessions, much earlier, I think somewhere we mentioned Prakasha, Agni, Vidyut, Jyoti, Tejas, Dosha, and Shaya are his 7-fold objectivity. And, and Agni is the master of the vehicle.
Yes. Oh, there will be more to it, definitely. So what do you want to say? Say.
I know the 7 rays, I mean, is it somewhere related to that as well? And the
I'm
priest of
sure they are
purification.
related, yeah. These are in action already. If we analyze them, if we think of them, what they really do, yeah, one by one, we will see that there will be something very sacred knowledge, some kind of action of the spirit of a matter. And these 7 which you mentioned, can you mention them again one by one? Deepti? Oh, you are muted.
Yeah. Prakasha, Agni, Vidyut, Jyoti, Tejas, Dosha, and Chaya.
Interesting that dosha and chaya are already, dosha is darkness actually, and chaya is the shadow. But before there is vidyut, there is lightning, there is tejas, there is jyoti. These are all different roots for different um, for the same meaning of shining. Yes, to shine. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know whether you have shared the notes or something, Vladimir. Like in my notes, I put Chaya, negative luminosity of Anna Kosha, uh,
Yeah.
Twilight or Dosha, Tejas proper, dry light as Manas Kosha, and Jyoti as Vijnana Kosha, Agni or the fiery light as Chitta Kosha, Vidyut as eternal illuminating Ananda Kosha, and Prakasha as Sat Kosha. I think the date somewhere on 15/7/22. It's in my notes.
We were kind of speculating that time, trying to figure out why this hierarchy is given, yes? And if we put them, overlay them, we will see there will be some meaning in it, yes? Especially Prakasha is already is used as, it is used in Tantra, yes? Because it's of later time, Prakasha, Vimarsha, yes? As Prakasha is a pure consciousness which is involved in itself. And so if you start from there, so kind of it points us to the right direction. Yeah? And from there we go one by one down, and we will try to identify with the level. But truly speaking, any one of those higher levels could be put into any other place for us, because we do not have the experience and knowledge of the roots so deeply related to their kind of classifications. But it gives us a very interesting perspective. Yes, I don't remember this anymore. It's in which hymn it is. It is in some hymn. First mandala or fifth mandala. I took it most probably from elsewhere, from the later literature, as most probably from Yaska.
1.1.1.
Huh? 1.1.1? 111?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is the 111 is this the first hymn of the Rig Veda, yes? Agnimile purohitam yajnasya devam ritvijam hotaram ratnadahatamam. Yeah, I think it is somewhere listed in the later literature, most probably in Brahmanas and Yaska, most probably, or Shankara, or this Sayanacharya refers to it. So there I took it from, most probably, kind of trying to overlay these 7, how he describes them. Yes, most probably it's from Sayana. Now yeah. It's a very rich tradition, sorry. You will find different explanations in different, millennia. Different millennia gave different framework, so different words are used. But the point is the same, yes, that we are here trying to create a framework for ourselves to think about this world as manifestation of the spirit, from the highest to the lowest. We are always moving from top down, never from down to from the bottom up. always from top down. This is, once we create that umbrella, that vision, everything else becomes kind of possible. That's the Veda. Veda starts with consciousness, with knowledge, and then comes to the power, to the bottom of things. It doesn't start with power and arrives at knowledge. And what was striking me about this passage, what you sent also, is that the explanation what Krishna gives, I will come to this knowledge and power because today is the topic of this, that Krishna gives in the Gita, that all the actions, because Sri Aurobindo speaks about actions here, ending in the knowledge experience, jnane parisamapyate. So the actions are needed only to discover the being, yes, the awareness of the being. Once we have the awareness of the being and we have the being, then the transformation takes place. So all our activities here are knowledge related only. Though they may think that they are kind of power related, we may think that they are needed for some kind of multiplication of the prakriti, or creating something, or getting some pleasures out of it, squashing it for our own egoistic pleasures. But it is not. It is actually a secondary, it's a byproduct, yeah, egoistic enjoyment.
And that too, that knowledge is knowledge of identity. That means
Absolutely.
knowledge by identification. I mean, so all knowledge is ultimately about identifying with the self.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so-
So all here is done only for that, to find that track back, to find that awareness, that consciousness, which corresponds to that power which we are given. We are given power of action, but we are not given an awareness of that, what it means. So the power becomes the means to arrive at knowledge, you know, only. There is no other purpose, actually. Interesting. Yeah? We think that we have to manifest civilizations, that we have to create technologies. We think that this will make our life easier, but easier for what? Again, to have time to discover who you are. So all these are means, only means for one particular reason, nothing else. Here, when Sri Aurobindo spoke about this, how intuition has to connect power and knowledge, in this passage, which intuitional knowledge is that which is common between them, and the foundation of intuitional knowledge is conscious or effective identity between that which knows and that which is known. It is the state of common self-existence in which the knower and the known are one through knowledge. And when he said this, it just hit me, through knowledge. Oh, this is what we are looking for. That bridge which will connect the knower and the known. This is an amazing knowledge, actually. Once we understand the purpose of our life here, now we have to live according to it. Yeah? All right. Okay, I can stop here for today, and we can. I want to hear your thoughts. Somebody was writing something. Oh, it's AI. AI is talking to us. He wants to assist us, help us out to make a summary. Okay, I will stop projecting. So you have some thoughts. Please share your thoughts, your highlights, your intuitions.
Vladimir, that bridge that we were talking about, it's not just intuition. What I read in that, I'm not sure whether I'm wrong, but there is mind, there is reason, and then there is intuition. So I think what happens is first we have to purify the mind in some sense, whatever purification means. And it is the reason that has to be also purified. And then only we can have the intuition. I mean, intuition won't come to us straight away. There's some other process of purifying that must happen first. That
Yes.
is how I saw the bridge, you know.
Yes, yes, absolutely right. For me, yeah, I think the same way, only I'm jumping over these steps because um, the mind is actually the bridge between the supermind and this creation. And mind is a very vast topic. Yeah? So it means from the lowest mind to the highest. Yeah? Possible. And there is intuition. Intuition is the action of the higher parts, the levels of mind, yeah, which connects the supermind to the lower parts of mind. So basically, intuition is the mind. Yeah? So I see the mind as a substance through which the light of the supreme can, reach out to the bottom of things. And in that way, I speak about this mind as a bridge, as a substantial bridge, or in itself, it is not the knowledge. The knowledge is the light which will travel through that bridge, yeah? Illumining the bridge, so to say. It is more like a tool, or the instrument. Mind is instrumental to the knowledge. So that's what I meant. I can even feel it from all what I learned and from Sri Aurobindo. And there was always a question, what mind, what it may be. And he says you cannot know the mind until you know the supermind, because the mind is nothing but the servant of the supramental light to reach to the manifestation. And it makes totally sense. And intuition is the way how it is being generated. It's a dynamic process of light being kind of reaching out through the bridge of the mind. Yeah? And it illumines the mind and makes it more receptive of the higher spirit. But
Vladimir,
we say the same thing in different ways, yes, Kinshuk. So I'm totally with you, 100%. Yes, Deepti, you were saying something.
yeah, I mean, I was reading something which is somewhat related to what Kinshuk said, but there was a saying there, like it said, belief, we always try to build a bridge between what we believe to behavior. We think that that belief can get converted into behavior, but rarely a bridge can be built between these two, because belief is of the reason and it is very static, whereas the behaviors are dynamic, it's always moving. So how do you connect the bridge? And suddenly what both of you were saying, like it kind of made sense. So if you're working with a lower mind, the reason, which is actually somewhat static. I mean, it's rigid, and there's something which is moving. It needs something which is illuminating, or which can move through everything. I mean, I don't know. I'm not making sense, but it just.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is what I tried also. It's very difficult to express these things unless you really either know them by experience, or you're really totally sure about. But again, it's a manner of expression. We are trying to put into words of the reason things which are far beyond the reason. Yeah, so we use the imagery of the reason, and so on, and we do kind of lousy job. But still, reason knows now that there is something there, that mind is instrumental and not just the head of the department. Yeah, it's a tool of consciousness to focus itself upon any object of sense. It's a capacity of consciousness to fix itself upon any object of sense. Capacity of consciousness. And it can be lower, can be higher. So on every level, it can have that on the physical mind. Yes, there is a physical mind. There is a vital mind. There is a mental mind. There are many minds. Mind you, there are many minds. Never mind. So,
Vladimir, I also tend to differentiate between logic and reason. Logic seems to me a very hardwired concept of something, we have habitually experienced over many generations and many thousands of years. So we have built up something called logic. But reason is something that goes a little beyond logic. It allows more flexibility, and we are talking of intangible things and abstract things, and uh, things are a little different from. What do you have to say about that? I just wanted
wonderful.
to
I
know.
love this. You're speaking like a true Kantian now. Yes, reason. Yes. And Chopin also uses the same ideas. Yes, reason as buddhi, something higher than just logical mind is. Again, logical is when mind is focusing on step by step. He discovered this step, and what is next step from this step to the next? And Shubindo explains that intuition is actually nothing against the logic. It is just jumping over several steps because it doesn't need them. It's understood already immediately. Doesn't use energy to really recover every step. So, and it jumps to the next over several steps, and then over several steps, and with bigger steps it walks. That is intuition. It goes straight to the aim or to the outcome of the logical conclusion, instead of recovering all the chain of logical thinking. But if we need, we can go back and recover all the chain. That's many times what we do in our studies. We see these jumps of huge jumps of intuition, and we try to recover all those logical steps for our mind to be part of it, and to be illumined by that light, to join the party. It doesn't happen always. Rarely it happens, but it happens. And once we see that it is possible, then we are looking for that again and again. And interestingly, when it is recovered, there is some kind of presence or fulfillment. That force which was making this assumption, this jump, is actually activated. So it settles within the mind. Mind gets a capacity to think the same way later. So that's what we are doing here with the studies of the Veda. Otherwise, we don't need the Veda for other reasons than this. We are training our mind to think the way rishis thought.
Oh, sorry, I'm just monopolizing the conversation, but this is very interesting what you said. So when we find out the steps that led us to that intuition, what we gain is a kind of certitude in our knowledge, a kind of uh, removal of all doubts. And somewhere I had read that what we call knowledge is nothing but certitude. We are always looking for this certitude in things and this removal of doubt. So that's interesting. It clarified for me why that thing is there.
Right. That doubt is the gap. gap between those steps, logical steps, which mind are this logical mind cannot take without steps being covered, it would not believe that you give me the conclusion without really showing me how it is. Show me everything, the whole procedure. So that's what we try to recover. And Sri Aurobindo did a tremendous work in the Life Divine, especially, recovering all those steps. He gives us the frameworks in which we could recover ourselves the steps, because the major framework is there. Once we understand it, this understanding is what is required. Understanding means it's some kind of, everything comes together under it. It's an intuition, actually. Understanding is intuition. I remember when I was in the linguistic department, and at the end of the course, and after the fifth year, we were passing exams for languages. And so my teacher, my professor, asked me, how do you know that this is subjunctive case? Subjunctive. And I said, how could I know it? How would you know that this is nominative case? Let me put some very simple question. How would you know it? How would you know that it is a present case, the present tense? He goes home. How do you know? Or they go home. How do you know that it is present tense? Simple question. And I really was lost, because how would you know? And I said, I feel it. And my professor was so disappointed, nearly put down my mark, because I said, no, how can you say you feel it? It is in the form. For him, it is the form. But go, we go home. Go can be used not only we, but you go home, they go home. There can be many go to go. And so you cannot recognize by the form that this is the present tense. So you have to comprehend it. If you don't comprehend, and comprehension is feeling, knowing how to use it, knowing through yourself what happens when this is formulated. And that is something like experience. And I actually was rethinking this dialogue many, many times in my life afterwards. And I come to the conclusion that this is the only way of knowing. There is no other way of knowing. Knowing formally is not knowing. Knowing apprehensively is only part of knowledge. Yes. Knowing comprehensively is the real knowledge.
Vladimir, this is as much as identifying yourself with the thing that is happening. For example, if somebody says, we go home, in a sense, I have gone home with him. I am totally identified with that process of going home. I'm identified with the we, with the go, with the home. And that's my comprehension. I'm fully identified with the act of that person going home. And what you said, feeling, is what I'm calling identification. So
Yes. Yes.
I know because I am identified with
Yes,
the whole thing.
absolutely. I comprehend. That means I understand what is happening. Understanding is not apprehensive cognition. It's not knowing the structure. Knowing structure is not knowing. It's understanding. And understanding is very different from recognizing the structure. These are two complementary movements in consciousness. They have to be both there. You have to recognize the structure and understand what it means. Understanding what it means is something else. It requires living being. I cannot describe it without living being. I cannot comprehend it without living being. I can describe it, yes, When everything is, as Sri Aurobindo says, explained, nothing is known. This is exactly that. Yeah. Explained is structure is given, but known, nothing is known. That means nothing is understood, nothing is comprehended.
We have just got the guidelines from you for fighting AI, because our AI cannot comprehend. AI can
Yes.
only apprehend.
Yes, but what is interesting, it will give you the structure which will help you to comprehend better. And there is this kind of game going on, because you will be comprehending, not AI. AI just knows the structure, figures out, you were figuring in this way, it remembers it, it puts it in the same way from the past to you, and you are triggered. And you think, oh, it's so intelligent, AI. It knows what it does, because the comprehension is within you. It's like listening to the music. Yeah? It's interesting, the same subject all the time, apprehension and comprehension. I remember the musician from Indian classical music was such a beautiful singer in Auroville, and I asked him, he is top singer in the world, and I asked him, do you always do this magic? It was magical, yes. We were all taken by that beautiful concert. Are you always in that state of awareness of this music? Yeah? Do you hear it all the time? And he says, no, not all the time. Sometimes I'm in that state, sometimes not. And I understood that actually the appreciation of music comes not from the player playing it, but from the listener hearing it. I am generating for myself the magical event. Or I may hear nothing because I will be blocked and clogged, and he will be totally into it, and I would not join his beautiful experience. And many times I noticed, even in my time of teaching, and you also most probably noticed this in yours, that when you think that you did so well, people say, it was not so well. You feel the presence and everything. Others think, well, it was difficult. It was nothing much. And sometimes you do nothing and feel, oh, it was a waste of time. And others say, it was so good. It was the best. And you just wonder what was all this about. So it does not depend on you because of this dilemma of apprehensive and comprehensive cognition. I may give you the structure which will help you to comprehend, or I may give you a comprehension which will help you nothing. I will be so happy with my own comprehension, and you will be wondering why he is this giggling here and doing nonsense. Because there is no structure to hold on to. There is no framework within which you can find your comprehension. So I guess we exhausted the topic.
No, I have just something more to say. So in Plato's this thing, there is something called Plato's unwritten dialogues. It seems once he said that the best of knowledge cannot really be written down and the comprehension cannot be conveyed. It is when I speak to you, and he forbade his people from writing down everything. So apparently, those lectures he just gave and they were never written down. So there is something very similar. I mean, you cannot convey comprehension, it becomes a dead thing. So it's a
Interesting.
different thing altogether.
Very interesting. The same thing we discussed in our conference in CIAS, that, the objective, the third person inquiry method, and that scientific, descriptive, detached, objective kind of exposure of the knowledge. A subjective first person inquiry method, that means my comprehensive understanding of myself and what is happening with the knowledge I have. And there is something in between, which I could call as the second person inquiry method, dialogue. When I touch upon the objective knowledge in my subjective way and convey this to you in the way that you will find your way to relate to it. And this is something interesting. The comprehension could, yes, occur in that moment because I got the comprehension with objective knowledge. And so we can match it or we can mismatch it. Doesn't matter. Matters that I involve you as comprehensive being. I'm not delivering you the structure. Did you notice with all these presentations in the scientific institutions, this delivering of the structures, recognition of the same patterns of talking? Oh, he speaks my language. He speaks the same formulas here and there. I have the same formulas, so he is right. Yeah? Or he speaks some other formulas. He is not totally right. Yeah? God knows what he talks about. So it is apprehensive, very easy surface comprehensive comprehension. But to go deeper, it needs really a dialogue, not a delivery, not to speak at, not to present. We need to converse. We have to be both involved. Great. Okay, thank you. I will close with mantra. I'm already 15 minutes over. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See you. Bye.